The Washington Nationals split the doubleheader after getting crushed in game one, but then taking advantage of those Tigers in game two with a blow up in that eighth inning for that Tigers bullpen. The Nationals offense, they got hot, and it was at the right time.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And later on in today's program, we'll have a Nats Tigers Game 3 preview, as the Nationals have an opportunity to take a series win against one of the best teams in all of baseball. In fact, the Tigers are tied for the best record in baseball today. So it's going to be a pretty good feat for those Washington Nationals. And in the second segment, we're bringing back some draft talk. Do the Nationals have a ton of pressure on them? And really talking about pressure, it's within the front office. Do they have the pressure to nail this number one overall pick? And might that determine kind of where they go and who they draft? We'll have that discussion for you in that second segment. We start off discussing yesterday's doubleheader as the Nationals. They got demolished in game one. Then in game two, it was back and forth, but the Nationals, they came out on top. But today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So we jump into this talking about game one for the Washington Nationals yesterday. And let's just be honest here. The conversation is like pretty big. Why is Trevor Williams still in the starting rotation? Why isn't Cade Cavalli up in the major league roster? And yeah, you might be thinking to yourself like, well, Trevor Williams, he signed to a 2-year deal. The Nationals want to make this work. Not anymore. Mike Rizzo and Davey Martinez, this offseason, they went out of their way to tell you and tell everybody out there that this team is ready to win. This is not a winning pitcher. In fact, if Trevor Williams was a qualified starter at this point, he would have the worst ERA in baseball by well over 1 run. Done. No more. Is there a role for Trevor Williams? Absolutely. It's exactly what Jackson Rutledge did yesterday. The long-term reliever role, the fireman, someone who's just going to eat up innings out of the bullpen. And if he's good out of the pen, because again, this Nationals bullpen, I don't need to tell you too much about it. You all already know it's one of the worst bullpens in all of baseball at this point. Then Trevor Williams might be able to help you in that department. But he is not a help in this starting rotation. Yesterday, giving up those 6 runs in the first inning, that 3-run bomb by Riley Green to begin yesterday's game, it just kind of was a gut punch, to say the least. And that's kind of where the Nationals stand at right now. When you are going up against very good teams, you all kind of, you have to think to yourself like, well, this isn't all going to be that pretty. And that's exactly what happened. So Riley Green in that first game had 2 3-run home runs, and the Nationals simply could not bounce back. 6-0, then it was 7-0, and the Nationals, they had nothing to answer for it. But my takeaway from that game was that Trevor Williams, what are we doing at this point? You simply cannot go out there every 5 days and tell me that this guy is giving you the better opportunity to win games than Cade Cavalli. Or maybe even someone else, whether it be Andrew Lara, who made his major league debut yesterday and pitched 3 scoreless frames. He was returned to AA Harrisburg yesterday, but still, he's someone I would even consider over Trevor Williams at this point. And I like Trevor Williams. He has been better as of recent, but then you get those games yesterday where you're just like, I can't defend this anymore. 54 pitches, the most pitches, I think, since 2005 in the first inning. Unbelievable for Trevor Williams. It was a bad performance. He did not have his A stuff. He didn't have his B stuff. He didn't have his C stuff. And he certainly did not have his D stuff. He had his F stuff. It was a really bad performance in yesterday's game. So let's move on to game 2, though, because game 2 brought out some good things for the Nationals. And in game 2 yesterday, you saw Mackenzie Gore absolutely dominate with the Tigers. And also, I think the best thing about that is that Mackenzie Gore didn't even have his A stuff in yesterday's game. He didn't. Yet he still got through 5 1/3 innings pitched in yesterday's game, only struck out 2 batters, walked 4, gave up those 2 earned runs, only gave up 3 hits in 5 1/3 innings pitched. And if you look at his numbers overall, 111 pitches, only 65 strikes, that's pretty bad for Mackenzie Gore's quality at this point. But yet, he still got through it. He still pushed the Nationals, and unfortunately, we could not get him the win at this point because it's Mackenzie Gore pitching, and crazy things happen when Mackenzie Gore pitches, but I thought he was awesome yesterday. And again, it just goes to show you that if this guy just has some run support, and if he doesn't even have his A stuff, he is going to get you in a very good spot and always tee you up to win a ball game. And that's kind of what it's like at this point. But again, Mackenzie Gore doesn't have his A stuff, went up against a very good Tigers offense, and still fared out pretty well, only giving up 2 earned runs in 5 1/3, only 65 strikes out of his 111 pitches. Mackenzie Gore, awesome yesterday, considering he did not have his best stuff. But let's talk about this Nats offense. Did you know that the rookie Dalon Lyle has a 10-game hit streak at this point? It's kind of been quiet, but Dalon Lyle has quietly really clicked for the Washington Nationals as of recent. He's batting .235, a .631 OPS, and even then, if you look at his more recent numbers, what he has done over his last 7 games, over his last 15 games, he has been really impressive. But looking at his last 7 from his splits, he's batting .357 with a .400 OBP and a .357 slug. Really good numbers for the kid. He's not doing much damage, but again, you look at Brady House and all these other younger players, they're not doing much damage either. And that's kind of what it's like for these young prospects nowadays. Not everyone's going to be James Wood or these young stud prospects where they just come up and dominate Major League Baseball. But Dalon Lyle has been really good. And again, quietly has that 10-game hitting streak going on. I've been really impressed from what I have seen from Dalon Lyle at the plate. And I think this guy is a big league player that should stick up in the bigs for quite some time. But Nathaniel Lowe. Let's talk about Nathaniel Lowe. Game 2 of yesterday, he put this team on his back. Having that bases clearing triple in the 8th inning to take the Nationals and lead them to victory, this is why you trade for Nathaniel Lowe. And what he has done as of recent here is really why you trade for Nathaniel Lowe. Because again, the power numbers as of late, they have been looking up. And over his last 15 games, he has a .552 slug, a .302 OBP. I'd like to see that up a little bit more. But still, that slugging number is really what I have been eyeing at this point. And Nathaniel Lowe is getting that done. Having 4 home runs over his past 15 games, the home run numbers are starting to look up because if you look at it right now in the season, he's got 13 home runs at the midway point. Not bad. I'll take 25 home runs from Nathaniel Lowe. I think that'd be a successful season for him. But right now, kind of looking at where the Nationals are, there's a real possibility that he gets traded at this deadline. There just is. The Nationals are out of contention. I don't think anyone expects them to get back into it unless some miraculous run where they win 12 straight games, maybe even 15 straight games, and kind of get them back in that picture. But I don't see that happening at this point. They're 36-50. They are 5th in the NL East. And for these veteran guys, see them start to play a little bit better, teams are going to be calling about them. They're going to want to see what Nathaniel Lowe could provide them. And maybe Nathaniel Lowe could get back a decent-sized prospect. We don't know at this point. But it is something I'm willing to monitor at this point, and I'm certainly going to be kicking the tires on Nathaniel Lowe trade because the Nationals, they're in this rebuild mode. And you're going to have to do what's best for the team and what's best for the organization moving forward. And if that's what's best, then that's what's best. So, but we'll talk more about the trade deadline as this month goes on, because the Nationals, they're going to be in the mix of it. They're likely going to be sellers yet again. So we'll see what they decide to do. But next, let's talk about this. We are less than 2 weeks away from the MLB draft. In fact, we're about, 10 days away from the MLB draft? Yeah, July 13th. We're 10 days from that MLB draft. They got to start locking on someone. The Nationals have the number 1 pick. Mike Rizzo was on the radio the other day. And the Nationals, they're probably down to a couple of guys. And we'll talk about them after we tell you guys about our friends over at Gametime. And of course, I've told you all about Gametime, and we've all been there logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories and not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping, and that's where Gametime, they come in, because Gametime is making getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever, and prices actually drop as it's getting closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Now, are you tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal? Gametime Zone Deals pick the best seats in your section for you. And you ever wonder what your view will actually look like before you buy? The app shows a panoramic seat view, so are no surprises. And with Gametime, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees, and take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Let's jump into this now, as the Washington Nationals, they've got a decision to make in 10 days as they pick number 1 overall. But before we jump into kind of getting into this draft, do the Washington Nationals have pressure to nail this pick? And the answer is unequivocally yes. They have to hit a home run at this number 1 pick. I've kind of been going back and forth on this. Typically speaking, I have always been let's try to get the safest guy. Let's try to get the safest pick. But I don't think that's the case anymore for this team. And I don't think that should be the case. I think if you're Mike Rizzo at this point, you got to think to yourself in your little draft war room, what is our best shot at getting a superstar? It's not coming through free agency. It's likely not coming through a trade. It's got to be through the draft. Don't you think that Mike Rizzo is thinking about that, and the rest of the baseball operation department, that this is their best opportunity to get a superstar? Because the way that the Lerners have spent their money as of recent, aka they have not, they're not going to land a Juan Soto. They're not going to land a Kyle Tucker. They are not going to land a big-time free agent pitcher, whether it be a Corbin Burns type or a Max Fried in years past. This team is not going to spend to go get their Max Scherzer yet again. That's just the reality of the situation here. So with that in mind, when you have the number 1 overall pick, this is your time. This is the time where the Nationals are probably thinking to themselves, we have no shot at getting a star. This is the one possibility where we can go get another Bryce Harper, and we can go get another Steven Strasburg. And they have done that, and this regime has done that in years past. The pressure is on because you have to hit this pick. And I'll even say it, this pick has to be a star. This does. This is going to put a ton of pressure on Mike Rizzo and Danny Haas and Brad Ciolek, guys in those front office who have been there and they have done that. But still, this is a certain situation where not many GMs and execs are really in. Because as we know, The fan base right now at the Nationals, it's probably never been as torn as what it is right now. And we all know why. It's because of the losses. It's people and the fans feel as if they've been lied to, and the team is just not very good. The learner ownership group seems a little checked out at this point. This is a tough time to be a fan, a very tough time. But also, with that in mind, the Nationals have a draft to conduct, and this has not been Rizzo's strong suit. And you might say, well, look at Bryce Harper and look at Steven Strasburg. Let's have an honest conversation about that. I was, I think, 10 and 11 years old when both those guys were drafted. I could have made those picks to select Bryce Harper and to select Steven Strasburg. It was not a hard decision to make. It just wasn't. It was not at all, in fact. So I look at those drafts and I'm like, yeah, like they do deserve credit for it. They did develop those guys, and both those guys were stars for this team. One was in the Cy Young conversation if he was healthy, and the other won an MVP here and is one of the best players in all of baseball, Bryce Harper. You deserve credit for that. You deserve credit for Anthony Rendon. But outside of that, the Nationals drafting-wise, Brady House is good, but I don't know if he's going to be pan out to be that superstar. I think Travis Zakora, he might be that superstar who, by the way, was just ranked in a top 30 prospect for MLB.com. Even then, he should be a top 10 prospect in baseball. That's a different conversation for a different day. But the Nationals right now, the pressure is on. And with where Mike Rizzo stands with this team and kind of where the Nationals are as a whole organization, talent is going to be coming through the draft. You have no opportunity outside of this pick to land a superstar. This is your one shot at it. And even then, while I do admit that this is a pretty weak draft class, like, again, in years past, there have been consensus top guys. There have been guys like, I look back at the 2023 draft, it was either Paul Skeens or Dylan Cruz. One of them was going to be the best pitcher to come out in years, and the other was going to be one of the best college bats to come out in years. Both those guys were blue chip prospects, top 5 prospects in baseball. They're going to be some of the top guys for years to come. But then last year's draft, it was kind of like, it was a solid draft, but even then had some issues. But this year's draft class is probably one of the weakest ones. It just is at this point. And so now Mike Rizzo and this staff, they're going to have to orchestrate and really kind of talk to themselves and figure out what they want. And if I'm in that room, I'm the one standing on the table saying, forget playing it safe now. While you do have to play it safe and you have to keep that in the back of your mind, you also have to land a star. And if you think that star is going to be Ethan Holiday, who has been the big name in this draft for the past year plus and does have superstar upside, someone who could hit 30, 40 home runs maybe in a single season at the shortstop position. Maybe he plays third base. Maybe he gets moved to left field. We don't know at this point in time. But if it is someone like that, you better take him, because this is your chance to get that star. Or if you think Cade Anderson. If you think Cade Anderson is your one opportunity to get a Cy Young caliber pitcher, then you take Cade Anderson. Or my guy, Liam Doyle. Again, if I was the GM, I'd draft Liam Doyle number 1 overall. I don't think he's really in the conversation anymore, but that would be my pick. And the reason why that is because I think he has a ceiling that kind of looks like Tariq Skubal. That's his ceiling. I'm not saying he's going to get there, but that's what he could be. He's that electric. Watch the film. Right now, the Nationals are feeling the pressure, guys. And they should be. This is kind of where this organization is. This is the way that the Lerner family have written it up. And at this point in time, how can you not kind of question the future? And if they don't hit this number 1 pick, and if they kind of come out of left field, and let's say they take Eli Willits from the kid from Oklahoma, or let's say they take Iva Arquette, the second baseman from Oregon State, they better hope that guy turns into a star. But if I'm Mike Rizzo, I'm pointing my bat dead center field, and I'm taking the best player available. I am taking the I don't care if you want to cut a deal. Don't do it. Get someone with the highest ceiling, but also keep that safe thing in the back of your mind. It's a tough thing to juggle, but to just kind of put a bow on this, Mike Rizzo, you got to nail this pick. You have to. It's to save some jobs, if we're being honest. That's kind of the reality of the situation. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Next, let's get into a Nats Tigers preview. Game 3. Can the Nationals win a series at home against this pesky Detroit Tigers squad? We'll have that discussion after we tell you about our friends at Supply House and get the supplies that you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts for 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. And need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. So join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. Start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That is supplyhouse.com. And now we jump back into it with a Tigers-Nats preview with Jake Irvin on the bump, going up against someone who's only making his second start all season long. That is left-handed pitcher Dietrich Eds. In his first go-around, which, by the way, this guy is 34 years old, and he has been all over minor league baseball at this point. Only making I believe, his 12th or 13th appearance as a major leaguer, as a 34-year-old. Good for him. I think that's a cool story. So, I mean, you'll see tonight, like, he is great and looks a lot older than 34, if I'm just being honest. But that's a cool story. So, good for him. I always think that's a cool thing to point out. But let's talk about Jake Irvin real quick, because there have been some concerns. The velocity has been down for him as of recent. The results have not really been there. And he has started to really get hit around over his last 7 starts. And if you look at it, it's not good. He has a 6.05 ERA in his past 7 starts, 46 hits, 26 earned runs in those 7 starts, a 1.53 whip. I like Jake Irvin, but again, by the end of the season, we might have to have a conversation about him. And I think Jake Irvin is a lot better than the numbers that he has put up here as of recent, but the velo has been down wildly, and the numbers and giving up all these hits and walking guys, like, it has been a little bit ugly for him. And kind of getting out early in games, this is really when it has killed him early on. So Jake Irvin tonight, going up against a very good Tigers offense, this is certainly something to watch. But one thing I really want people to kind of hone in on is his velocity. Will his velocity dip? Because that's kind of been the common occurrence as of recent with him. And when his velocity dips, that's when he gets hit around. Like, for instance, yesterday, Riley Green, I think it was Riley Green. It was a lot of home runs Trevor Williams gave up yesterday. But he had an 88-mile-per-hour fastball, middle of the zone, and he crushed it for a 3-run home run. Jake Irvin's not on that level, but still, his velo has been down all year, and it's gradually been getting lower. I wonder if something's up with him, but it's certainly something. It's not nothing. I'll say that for a fact. But hopefully the Nationals can get it done, and maybe the Nationals bats, they wake up, and if they win this series against the Tigers, it's a big momentum shift, and it's something that the Nationals need as we head into July, because tomorrow you got the 11:05 first pitch against the Red Sox, who are in town. It's going to be a fun series, but still, the Nats, they got to get things done. They got to win today. So thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Enjoy today's game. Have a good one. Go Nats.